Well, directors are pushy.
Somebody's got to be in charge of this shit show.
I'd say we all do a pretty good job of keeping us all in line.
Hey, nice shirt though, Jim.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, very good.
no, not live.
So, Rob, apparently once I started having any sort of success, I kicked you off the show. So I guess I'm bringing you back now. So
Yes, you have no, that's not going to work. You can't kick me off.
how does it feel to be kicked off the show and be allowed back?
I tell there's a few guys down at the place where I play pool that were asking if I was ever going to come back or not.
Well, once the summer comes around, like it's like, hey, who wants to do the show? And Rob's like, what are you doing, Rob?
I don't know. I have passions, and golfing is one of my passions. So, and seeing as though I'm running out of time, availability to play the game, unless I can play into my 90s, I have to play when the weather says I can play. So,
well, you do know that you could have this as a passion, and then you could do this.
It is a passion.
90s.
I tell you what, I'm 100% back playing pocket pool and 3-cushion billiards, both.
I don't give a crap about that.
With my
I care about this podcast. This podcast should be one of your passions.
When it interferes with my other passions, then those passions take over, and they take precedence over the podcast. I'm sorry to say, because I love the podcast.
Whole screen is very blurry. Is it just me?
The whole screen?
It doesn't appear blurry to me. Is it blurry to you guys?
It's not blurry on my phone.
Close my blinds here.
It's not blurry on my phone.
Jim, you've been taking a bit of a hiatus too. How was your time off?
Pretty good. I've been on a couple of holidays. I've played some tournaments. You keep doing it on a Tuesday night, which never really works for me because the league season started again and our home games are on Tuesday nights, which is not really great. So you're going to have to do something about that.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, I think we need to probably just switch to Monday. I think that seems to be the consensus that works best for everyone.
I would agree. But other than that, I'm all right. I've been kept busy by my now 9-month-old baby girl.
And everything's okay there?
She's doing very, very well. She is massive. What a beast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's huge. Yeah. They've already calculated, I don't know how they do this, but on the bone length and the legs and stuff like that, right. She's going to be 1.85 meters. So she's going to be either a basketball player or a netball player or a volleyball player or just a freak of nature.
Well, I think she's your daughter, Jim. She has to be a freak of nature just by default.
It might just
she's massively talented and good looking, obviously, as well.
It might be a hair early to tell all that, maybe.
Yeah, I thought so as well, but they seem convinced she's going to be 185. Well, we'll see. But a lot's been going on. We've had a lot of pool, haven't we?
We've had a lot of pool. One of the best stretches, I would say, of the year.
Always is. It always is this time of year when the pressure starts getting on and things change in the points and the rankings from Moscone and stuff like that. It's always one of the best times to see how people get on and if anyone can make a last ditch run for it,
And it came all the way down.
Almost happened. Yeah.
Came all the way down to the wire.
Look at the pressure that was on Tyler in the Open to perform.
Yep.
And I think really he did more or less come through in the clutch. Didn't win the thing, but boy, he took Federer and played him well, and other matches too. So he made a pretty good.
You want to talk about a pretty tough draw? Tyler had a pretty tough draw in the finals.
Yes,
Fedor Gorst and then Joshua Filler.
And then you look at Max's draw. Not quite the same. He went further, but not quite the same as Tyler.
Yeah. I mean, Max Lechner beat Koping Chung.
Yep.
Roland Garcia, who had just came off of a dominating performance.
There you go. I mean, it wasn't easy for sure.
Chris Melling. And Jonas.
Chris had a good tournament.
Jonas Camino. Yeah. I mean, let's jump in. Let's talk about it. Francisco Sanchez Ruiz gets, I guess, is this his first major title? I would say that this is his first major title. Yeah. I mean, he's won I don't think you want to count the World Cup of Pool and Invitational Scotch doubles. He's won a
that
ton
was pretty impressive, though.
A ton of European titles, whether it's the Euro Tour, or the Euro Championships, or so. But I mean, as far as on a world stage, this is probably his first title.
Well, he won the Derby City, didn't he? 9-ball.
Oh yeah, he won the Derby City. Yeah, I don't know if I'd consider that a major.
I think any
title,
American you ask would consider that a major.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so.
except for me, apparently. I think it's easily the third most. It kind of depends how you define a major, right? I mean, if you look at tennis, they have 4 majors. If you look at golf, there's 4 majors. So I mean, if you look at pool, I mean, I guess the majors would be the U.S. Open, the World Pool Championships, probably the World 10-ball, and maybe the International, something like that. I mean,
Well, these are
if
the
there's
Derby
4.
and the U.S. Open are 2 tournaments you don't need to basically qualify for too much. You pay your entry fee and you get in the thing, and there you go.
Same with
Derby's
same with the International.
Yeah, but you're also that's a long event as well. The 9-ball, you're batting your way through like 500 odd players. You know,
a lot of players.
You can end up playing a lot of pool to win that.
And look at who was the player at the U.S. Open that it was like a 640 or whatever, but he went pretty deep in that thing.
Well, Greg Hogues is 690.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, Greg. I mean, we'll talk about the U.S. side of things coming up, but I mean, whatever. I mean, it kind of depends how you define majors. I mean, if there's 4 majors, I think the International Open and the U.S. Open are bigger events than the Derby City. But
yes,
you'll get an argument from some people. So yeah, I mean, congratulations, Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. I mean, the guy just played absolutely unbelievable the entire time. I mean,
it was fun.
The only time I ever saw this the guy struggle was like at the beginning. I can't even say he struggled really at the beginning of the finals, but then he ended up getting those 2 fluke 9-balls, one off the break and then one in the rack right before that. He gets 2 fluky 9-balls to get to 2 and 3, and at one point in time, I think they brought up the stats and the entire room just starts like erupting in laughter. At one point in time, I think like Max Lechner had potted like 57 balls and had 3 wins. And FSR had potted 7 balls and had 3 wins.
Yeah.
Like it's just the entire room just like erupts in laughters with the idea of that. And it's like, but that's kind of, I mean, FSR needed that to stay into that match in the beginning of it. And, he took full advantage later on.
It is so cool when they went to racking that 9-ball on the spot. I see all you don't get the runouts. How many times the matches were over? There wasn't a break and run in the entire match. Many times. And that's so fun because then you get to see these players use all their wits, all their talent, all their skills in the game. The kicking, the pushing out here and there, and even the push outs. Some of those, were pretty edgy. Whether to take the shot or not take the shot, and those made a difference in the outcome of the matches.
Sure.
Yep, it's made a big difference. It's the game now because of that break. It's testing all your abilities, everything. It's not just about run uphill now. You have to have a complete game if you want to win one of these. It's about getting yourself that first opportunity in the rack. And it's
is your head on straight?
Yeah, exactly.
Not just your ability to stroke the cue stick, but is your head there?
Yeah.
And tests it all. I love it.
But he's on such a high at the moment. He's just on that cloud of just pure confidence. There's not a negative thought in his mind. I mean, I saw some clips from there. He's gone to the Predator 10-ball just now, and some of the shots he's pulling off, he's just going for 10-ball bank combinations and stuff like that, and he's making them. He just sees everything as if I can make that. The pockets are big, the balls are all. He just sees only positive things when he's coming to the table at the moment, and it's a great feeling when it happens. It doesn't happen very often, and he wants to hold on to that feeling for as long as possible, at least until the 4th of December. Hold on to it at least until the 4th of December. Bring that game to Moscone. Yeah.
Oh, I think for sure he will. This isn't the last we're going to see of this guy.
No, absolutely.
He's around for a while now. He's a young man, and he's just getting his teeth into that sandwich now.
I think he's 29 or 30, one of the two.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good years ahead.
I think he's right around the same age as me. So, I mean, the way that he's playing the game right now, it's just different.
In fact, all the European players, from what I'm looking at, especially in the Open, I mean, they're making their statements. Certainly the Polish players.
Well,
the German players.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible.
What did Joshua and Pia just do? Run 170 some balls in Scotch straight pool?
Yeah, 170. Yeah.
Holy mackerel!
How good was that last day of pool at the U.S. Open?
Oh,
You want to talk about those two semifinals matches and then that finals?
I was just on the edge of my seat the whole time.
I mean, if there's one person in the world, I guess that can like derail FSR. I mean, Carlo Beato. I mean, oh my goodness, the balls it takes to be down. What was he down like 7-2 to Francisco Sanchez Ruiz and gets it back to 10-10 for a Hill game.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I certainly don't think he loses that game from there if there's no shot clock. Because I mean, he rushed his shot to end up selling out to Francisco. I mean, he absolutely had to rush it because of that shot clock. I think if that doesn't happen, you know, he's going to end up coming up with something a little bit better than what he came. Well, obviously better than what he came up with, but 11-10. And then the other semifinals match right up afterwards, the same exact opposite thing happened where Max Lechner's way down in the set. It might have been 7-2 as well to Ko Ping Chung, and Max pulls the comeback to 10-10 and then completes it. Wow. Those matches, like if you're a fan of pool, go back and watch those two matches whenever they're available. I mean,
I think what you did notice is the energy levels that the FSR carries around with him meant that he was able to handle that going into the final a little bit better than Max. I think Max kind of ran out of steam a little bit. You know, I think his semi-final affected him more than what FSR semi-final affected him.
Well, I mean, I don't want to say that Max did not deserve to win the semifinals because obviously he played absolutely amazing. But the jump shot that Ko Ping Chung makes and then pinches the rail and the 9-ball at the same exact time and scratches into the corner off of it.
Oh.
Like it's just torture. Like when you see somebody make a shot like that, it's such a great shot, and it's coming around for you know, the speed looked okay for positioning, and then you just scratch off it. It's like, oh,
really?
And to be honest,
that have to happen.
That's the beauty of the game. It's the heartbreak moments that happen. You know, these moments, they happen to everybody, and that's that's the drama, and that's what you need if you're gonna sell this as a product. You need these drama moments, you know.
Well, Francisco's jump shot on that 2-ball. Now that was a tough cut over in the corner on that 2-ball, and there's balls all over the place, and he hits that just absolutely perfect and comes out with a shot. You know, wow, pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the jumping abilities of the players these days is just.
It's almost like they're not jumping. They're as accurate as they are just with a normal cue.
So accurate.
Well,
and
to be honest, I think
touch on him, a position play off the jump shot. All of it.
They got
the whole ball.
If you just have to jack up and stab at the ball, like if you're shooting over a ball, I think they're significantly more accurate with a jump cue than they are with a full cue just jacked up. Honestly,
very possibly.
It's I mean, it's just insane. I mean, Fedor was kind of the first person like 3-4 years ago that you just saw with the jump cue, and you're like, oh my god, that guy is different. And now everybody's jumps like that. Everybody, like
it used to be a rescue cue. Now it's an attacking cue.
Yes, especially with the push out. You know, you're thinking, hey, where is my strength in this game? Can I push out and make this shot?
Well, now it's to the point where everybody's so good with their jump cues that like you can't just push out to a jump cue and get it back. You actually have to push out to like a hard enough jump shot to justify not giving it back. Like it's incredible. I mean,
I never was a fan of the jumping and the jump cue when it came out. And I think at an amateur level, I have maybe a right to say that, but at this level of play, it does add an aspect to the game that is exciting for sure.
Absolutely.
What you see, the difference is with the jump cue is in the pro game at a high level is they use it at the correct times. When you watch amateur pool, they just use it all the time. They would rather jump than kick. You know, they say jump to pot, kick to play safe, you know, if you're hooked. But amateurs, they just think it's so easy to jump. They think, well, I'm going to hit it, so at least I'm not going to give ball in hand. So they pull the jump cue out, and all they're trying to do is hit the ball. At least the pros are playing it at the right time, and they're playing the attacking shots. When they have to defend, then they're playing the kicks, you know, and we're seeing a bit of everything. But amateur pool, it's just everybody's just pulling their jump cue out as soon as they're hooked on anything, you know. It's
right. Once in a while, you'll see the pros.
It's easier for people to jump
safe,
than it is to kick, you know. Yeah, they can't kick, so they jump.
Yeah, that's true, Jim. That's a very good observation for sure.
I feel attacked.
Yes, a little. I
Yeah,
figured
but
you
don't,
would.
because it's not just your kicking game that's a problem.
Right,
It's true.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I do everything bad, equally bad too, right? Thanks, Jim.
You said, what can I tell you?
All right. So,
And then
Rob, how you
what
doing
do we
today?
got now? How about Shane and Jason?
Oh,
This
we got to talk about the U.S. Open. We'll
We
get
got
to that.
We've
Borneo
Don't
talked
worry
about
about
the
it.
US
tomorrow.
Open. We know who won it. We know who
Yeah,
won it.
Jim.
It was a
Okay,
fantastic event.
okay.
Well done, Matchroom. Another fantastic event. Let's talk about Shane getting his ass handed to him by Jayson Shaw.
No,
Is anybody going to be? Is anybody ever going to beat Shane 120 to 80 at any game? I very much doubt
probably
it.
not. But I would like to not just skip over the rest of the U.S. Open. I am the host here, after all.
Oh, really?
We still got to talk about the who you guys impressed with. I mean, you look through the matches. Obviously, Greg Hogue is a huge standout.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I watched
Cole,
him play.
for sure.
I watched him play a couple matches. I mean, he played good, but I mean, most of the players that played against him, he's got some quirks. I mean, Greg Hogue is a great player, but he's got some quirks that are tough to play against. And I talked to one of the people that he played against, and he's like, I just couldn't focus. Like the way that and you watch his videos. And by the way, go follow Red Door Den. Go follow Greg Hogue. The dude is like, he makes some great content. He's putting drills out and videos and stuff like that. But you can even watch like the way he shoots his drills. Like he's got some sway in his pre-shot routine. He kind of goes like this going into a shot. I mean, he would be tough to play against. I mean, I'm looking at it from like a competitor's aspect. These pros they're designed to have, these perfect mechanics that you gotta rely on in the biggest moments. You got to be super solid all the time. And here comes Greg Hogue, and he's swaying all over the place, and he's theatrical, and he's having fun with it, and he's talking to himself, and that would be tough to play against. It would be. I mean, he never made the stream table, unfortunately, so you didn't really get to see any of that. But like, go watch some of his videos, and I mean, at the end of the day, the guy's got to pot the balls. He's got to make the 9 balls. He's got to win, and he did. And
well, you were there, right, Nate? I mean, you watched him play.
I mean, he drilled Omar El Shaheen. I mean, he beat him like he owed him money. I think he beat him like 11-3. I mean, that's a real player right there. I mean, Omar has not been on the Omar has not really been on the scene much yet. Greg beat him 9-5. That's a real win.
Yes, it
the
is.
guy plays good. I mean, that's my big standout for the event. Do you guys have any standouts that you looked at and kind of thought anything of?
It was good to see Chris Mellon going deep again.
Yes.
Yep.
He looked like he was going to make a proper run at it. Other than that, a little bit same old. Tyler beating Federer was a good result for Tyler. That kind of put him into that. Probably stuck him in that group of Mosconi hopefuls. I think he was probably already in there now, but it's kind of promoted him up the list. I think.
Yeah.
Being able to take Federer out there, and it may well have damaged any chance that Federer had as well, because he hasn't had the opportunity to play in the matchroom environment, and he didn't really show the form there that he'd been showing all year. And for me, when I'm looking at something like the US Open this time of year or the international, then I'm focusing on the potential Mosconi Cup players, and I don't think there was anything there to suggest that that.
What female player went the deepest? You guys have that on the top of your head? In the Open?
Margaret or Christina Tkech was one. She was one away from qualifying. I believe she had to play. Let's see. She had to play a good player to qualify and just narrowly lost. Yeah, she lost to Albin Ocean to qualify, but she beat Ko Ping Han, Joseph Tate, and I'm not sure who's. Oh no, yeah, that's that's it. On the A side, she beat Henrik Larsson, who actually is a good player.
Okay,
he's one of the top wheelchair players.
Yeah. So,
well, good for her.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Margaret was 2 away from qualifying.
Yeah, but they had a pretty good showing. I love to see the ladies in this Open.
Yeah.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, Margaret came up against
because they
Shane.
play
didn't she?
so good. I mean,
Yeah, she had to play Shane, and then she lost to Mustafa Alnar, who was he ended up making the finals. So I think there weren't many ladies. In fact, I don't know. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I think Margaret and Christina might have been the only women there.
Well, Sarah Jane Smith saying there was a Filipino lady there. Apparently, could that be the one that was at the World Teams? What was her name?
No, Rublin wasn't there. Rublin
Rublin,
wasn't
no.
there. I didn't see a Rublin. Yeah, I didn't. If there was, maybe there was. It's very possible, but I don't remember seeing any other ladies play. But there was a lot that were playing in the juniors, which was really nice.
Pia Phillip.
really?
Oh, yeah. Pia, of course, yes, Pia. And Pia actually lost to Greg Hogue. So, and then Seaman Lee, not sure who that is, but and I do want to, since you shouted out Chris Melling, I do want to be fair to him because he ended up losing to Max Lechner. But I spoke with, or Chris came over to our booth afterwards and was talking about, he was scheduled apparently to play at 4:30. And he turned off his phone. Basically, he comes over and he's telling the story of like how he got into his match. And he said that he turned off his phone. He wanted to just be with himself. He didn't want to be distracted by anything else. And he turned off his phone and was just, kind of just doing him back in his hotel room. He was about to jump in the shower at about like 3:55 or something like that. And he's like, well, I'm going to turn on my phone before I jump in the shower just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And like right when he turns on his phone, he said he was getting a call and he's like, and it was from one of the Matchroom guys. And they're like, Chris, you're up in 5 minutes. And Chris is like, no, I'm not. I'm scheduled for 4:30. I looked at the bracket an hour ago. And the Matchroom guy said, yes, I know that was an error on our part. You're on at 4. You have to play at 4. So Chris is up in his room at 3:55 and about to jump into the shower. And now he's being told that he has to play in 5 minutes because they made an error on his part. So he sprints, throws all of his stuff in, sprints down to the pool room, ends up showing up like 6-7 minutes late, whatever it was. I could get this wrong. I hope I don't get this wrong, but I think he said he actually had to forfeit a game too going into that set. So he starts down 1-0 and then he ends up losing that set 10-4. I mean, that's pretty tough action when you're in the when you're in your hotel room and next thing you know, you're getting a call saying. So to be fair to Chris Melling, because I mean, he was honestly, I watched his match, a few of his matches. I watched Lee Van Corteza play against Ko Ping Yi, and then I watched his match against Jayson Shaw. And I am telling you right now, Lee Van Corteza was playing. I thought he was going to win that event. He was playing next to perfect pool. And he gets up against Chris Melling, and Chris beats him down. I mean, Chris Melling was in the best form of his career. I've never seen it. And
Melling's got that gear. Melling's got that gear. When Melling hits his top gear, he's as good or better as anybody. He doesn't hit it as often as the rest of them, But the amazing talent, Chris Melling, amazing Q arm. When everything is right and he's online, amazing player.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, Chris was woof. I mean, he beat Lee Van Corteza like he literally owed him money. It was incredible to watch him play. And Lee Van was, I mean, the dude was playing next to perfect the entire time. He lost on the A side to Wojtek Szewczak, and like Wojtek ran like 8 racks out on him, and Lee Van still barely lost that set. I mean, that'll tell you how well he was playing. It was incredible. But I mean, Rob, did you have any standouts? I guess Jim and I both gave a shout out to somebody that we saw in the field. Did you have anyone?
Yeah, well, every match I was impressed with the play, no matter what match I was watching, and all the players I felt gave everything they had at the time. They laid it out on the table, and that's what I like to see. I like to see these guys dig down as deep as they can for shots and for brain power, and I saw that in almost every match, no matter who the players were, even if internally had one player or the other that I was rooting for. It was just great. I'm just so glad I had the time and opportunity to tune in and watch. And the way Matchroom put this on, I mean, the camera, uh, the interviews, the play by play. I just thought all of it was just tremendous. Jeremy Jones is just outstanding at what he does. He not only enables the viewer to think about what's happening, but he gives insights into particular ways that the cue ball is going to react in different situations. That even the 500 players out there and 400 players that are watching this and thinking about how these things are done and how these pros manipulate the table. Jeremy gives you insights into that. So, from a learning perspective, for the average pool player out there, I don't know what the average pool player at Fargo is, probably 500, something like that. They're wondering
Probably.
how the heck these pros are getting that cue ball around the table the way they are. And when you watch the pros, hardly any pro plays position off of one rail. Hardly any, unless they're drawing it one rail. But almost all of them, no matter where they are on the table, are stroking the power of the cue is doing the work. And so they have two rail position on almost every shot to get the cue ball back to the middle of the table. And so that they have these correct angles for their next shots. And I think that Jeremy does a great job in showing how that happens and explaining the spin and because of the table conditions, how you have to handle that cue ball in those conditions. And that's just wonderful. I mean, it's good. I like it because I'm thinking it in my head, and then I hear Jeremy say it, and I'm going, "Oh man!" For all these players out there that are just learning how to play, or they're the average type of player, this has got to be a great thing for them. So I didn't have one particular player that Chris Melling for me, yes, and I'll agree with you, Jim. That was just a great showing. I met Chris in 2011 out in Vegas, and he came over to play in the BCA tournament there, and he won. I had to play him on the loser side in the 9-ball challenge thing, and I had never seen anything like it that close up and personal in my life. On a bar table, he was playing two rail position on everything, just like he was playing on a 9-footer, and I was going, "Whoa." This guy has really got some talent. I mean, he can play, and he won the 9-ball challenge from the loser side that year, and then he played in the Grandmaster 8-ball division on a bar table, and he won that. So the two events that he was in, he won them both. And I had never, basically, I'd heard of him, but I'd never watched him play or anything. So I was kind of, you could say, for personal reasons, I was a little bit on Chris's in his corner throughout the tournament. So I was happy that he did well.
Yeah. I would say that I mean, let's give Matchroom their props. Matchroom has a lot of haters, and they've had a lot of haters, and I've been accused of being a Matchroom apologist for like 3 years. Mostly that's stopped now, and I think that's mostly it's stopped because everything that they're doing, it's right. You could go into that venue, and basically from days 1 to 3, nothing changed. The event or the venue looked the exact same. The tables were all in the exact same spots. Blah blah blah. After day 3, they literally reinvented that room every single day. They moved tables around. They moved stadiums. They brought in stadium seatings. They moved the entire TV table spots around. Like, they literally every single day, when that room shut down for the day, they went in and they reinvented everything in that room and redid the floor plan for everything on every single day. The work that they put into that event to make that thing happen and to give the viewers the best possible experience when you're on site, it's not matched by anyone. I mean, Predator does a great job as far as like just getting you in there, but I mean, Matchroom, what they do is it's just different. And to be honest with you, like, we can hate on Matchroom for all the things that they've done in the past. We have nothing left to really whine about. Just let them do what they do. It's great.
Were
I
there
mean,
refs at every table, Nate, in the whole tournament during the course of the event?
no, they had refs
No.
for 4 tables. So, I mean,
Okay.
obviously that's going to be a budget issue. So, I mean,
Sure.
hopefully, if and when they start, doing better with the events, they're going to be back to refs on every single table. But, at the end of the day, it is a business, and they have to, make sure that that's feasible. But
That really adds
just
some class to the whole thing. Having those
just round of
refs
applause.
announcing
Yeah.
the score each time, who's ahead, who's breaking,
round- The only complaint that I actually have with Matchroom at this point is, like, they put the announcers in the room, and, well, I'll say this: being there on the final day, I don't know what it was like that coming over to Zone or Sky Sports, I guess, wherever you watched it from, but the crowd does not have any clue what to do. Like, they don't know if they should be treating this as like a golf tournament where they need to be dead silent, or the Moscone Cup where they need to scream and holler. The semifinals of those matches, they were playing some music in between sets, and they were jamming and they were having a good time. And then the finals comes and everything is like dead silent, and dead silent to the point where you could literally hear the commentary. I mean, there's no way that the players could not hear Phil Yates when he goes on his little stupid, like, yelling commentary stuff. Like, they could absolutely hear him, because I could hear him, and I was 90% of the way from the announcers to the players. So there's no way that they couldn't hear them. So I mean, if I have any complaints towards Matchroom at all, or let's not say complaints, let's say constructive criticisms, try to find a way to get the crowd involved, or just decide what they need to do. Like, I just didn't like the idea that they played music in between the semifinals, and then for the finals, everything was dead silent. And find a way to just box in the commentators. I mean, the players shouldn't have to hear what the commentator is saying from across the room.
I agree with that.
But I mean, we're like super nitpicking at this point. Everything else is like so amazing for the event. So props, round of applause for Matchroom. You guys are doing amazing stuff. I mean, that's it. I mean, it was awesome. The Moscone Cup, I've been going every year since 2018. I can't see myself ever missing a Moscone Cup. Now this U.S. Open, I mean, I'm getting to the point now where it's like, how I don't envision myself ever wanting to miss one of these events. They're that much fun to be at. If you've never been to one, they are completely intoxicating. I mean, they are amazing to be a part of. Get yourself over to one of those, get yourself some tickets, and show up and support that. You will not be disappointed. They are awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with that next year.
It's good. I'm telling you, it's
sure.
awesome. So, I don't know. Do we want to clear that out? We're done there.
There was a mention here about Joey Tate's mix-up on the 4-ball, and if we have any comments on that. And that strikes a little chord with me, because that the first time they changed the balls around, I don't know when it was, a year or so ago or whatever. They've been using these balls since 2018. 3 years. Okay.
I think 2018 was the first year that they used it. I think this is 4.
Yeah.
Because I think they were using them the first year I was in London.
I can remember being totally confused at that, watching, like, okay, oh God, that's right, they changed the ball. The 4-ball's pink. I got, when has the 4-ball ever been pink? So I can imagine what Joey, why he did what he did. I mean, he just your mind is a brutal thing in certain instances. Oh, I wanted to say this. The one thing I noticed, you can't imagine the pressure involved on these players in this event, especially the final 8 or dozen or whatever. But one thing I noticed, how calm they appeared. Now, I don't know if their internal heart rate is racing out of their bodies or not, but I was certainly impressed. The close-ups of these players, the ones that weren't at the table, that were, waiting for their turn or whatever, they just looked like their heartbeat wasn't even beating. It was, they looked so calm. And I'm thinking, if they really are that calm, how do they do that?
I'll say this. I was watching Wojtek Szewczyk's match against Lee Van Corteza, and he just broke and ran a 3. And he comes back and, he like goes like this for a fist bump, and I like fist bump him, and he's like, and he just ran a 3, and he looks like ultra calm. And he looks at me, he's like, man, I've been so nervous on these last 3 racks. I feel like my whole body is shaking so hard I'm gonna miss every single ball that I shoot at. And he looks like a statue out there. I mean,
Yeah.
like I don't know how many times I've been asked by, average to below average players, like, how do you stop being nervous at pool? And I tell them the same thing every single time. If you want to stop being nervous at pool, stop caring or die. It doesn't matter what level you play at, whether you're the best player in the world or whether you are your first player or the first time ever playing in a serious tournament. If you're playing, you're going to get nervous. You're going to get nervous. They don't just go away.
How about you, Jim? Now, you just played in a couple of events too.
Everyone gets nervous. I mean, the whole mixing up the 5-ball and the 4-ball it's a brain fart. Anyone that says that Shane should have told him and Shane was unsporting, you don't know what professional sport is. Nobody in that room would have turned around and told him he's playing the wrong ball. There's not one player in that tournament that would have told him he was playing the wrong ball.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, see, for me, it's not an issue because we do have a pink 4-ball in Europe.
Okay.
And you have as America as well. All the Americans that said the pink 4-ball has never existed, I can show you right now it does. And you've used it. The Aramis television set, which has been used all over the world. Pink 4-ball. It's got an orange 5, but it's a pink 4-ball. So all the Americans saying that you've never seen a pink 4-ball before, that's either you just don't watch pool, or it could be the case, or the only pool you see is in your club. But that's not what professionals see. Professionals see proper pool. Okay. They don't just see the club sets. They don't use club sets. So to say that there's never a pink 4-ball is rubbish. It's been around for ages. And the purple 5, okay. Do you get confused with the 5 being purple? Obviously, it has happened. We've seen it.
Sure.
But it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault but Joey. And he said himself,
he just had a brain fart.
He said to Emily in an interview, he says, all I want now is for you to give me a set of those balls to practice with, and he won't make a mistake again. And he'll get a set of the balls. I mean, I've got like 4 different sets of balls here, all different colors, with like the what are they called? I've got Cyclops, I've got Dinospheres, I've got the blacks, and I swap around my balls all the time. I never play the wrong ball. I mean, they've got a number on them as well. I mean,
well,
there is that.
So Jim, let me ask you this question, because for the most part, I'm with you on that whole situation. But you said nobody in their right mind would ever do that immediately. But I remember back to a round of 16 last year between Aloysius Yap and Shane Van Boening, where Aloysius literally did that same exact thing for Shane. It's not the same exact thing, but the context.
It's not
why isn't it?
Because Shane called extension. The referee didn't hear it, but Aloysius Yap did hear it. So Aloysius Yap was being honest and saying he called extension.
No.
He'd be cheating if he kept his mouth shut.
No. Aloysius never. Nobody heard him say extension. The situation last year.
Aloysius, he turned around to the referee and said, "No, he did. He said it."
Aloysius. I mean, I talked to Aloysius.
The referee, it's okay. He said it. I'm pretty sure that's the way it went. I said extension, and Aloysius said, I talked
to him,
or he saw his lips saying it. He said no, he called extension.
I talked to Aloysius about it, and the reason it took as long as it did was because Aloysius said basically, like, I don't know if he said it or not, but if he said he did, I'm not going to take the foul. That was the situation, because it basically Aloysius was taking him for his word that he said it.
Okay, but that's okay. So he's taking his word. He's trusting Shane but that's completely different to Shane sitting there and watching somebody making a foul. If you're watching somebody and they've got to play a kick shot, and you can see that the point they're aiming on the rail, they're going to be nowhere near it, are you going to turn around and say, "You're not going to hit that ball if you do that"?
I'm just saying. The only thing I'm saying is, like, Aloysius didn't have to do that for Shane. Aloysius could have said, "Well, it doesn't matter It doesn't matter. The extension was not awarded. Shane should have said it louder, whatever it is. I get ball in hand because that's the rules." And he didn't say that. He said, "I'm going to trust him for what it is. Let him shoot from right there."
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like
I don't think it's the same situation. The situation happened to Chris Melling.
Well, of course, it's not the same exact situation. No, what I'm saying is somebody gave Shane a break.
But the same exact situation happened to Chris Melling on Hill in a tournament, and he was about to play the wrong ball, and somebody in the crowd shouted, "You're playing the wrong ball."
Oh,
And Chris stood up, noticed it, and played a deliberate foul, and said, "If you hadn't said anything, I would have played it."
so
You
he
know?
went ahead and played it anyhow.
So no, he just tapped the cue ball and said, "It's a foul. It's ball in hand. I was going to play that ball."
Okay, so he took a foul.
You know, so there's different versions of it. At the end of the day, Shane has absolutely. There's no.
Yeah, that's pretty
It's the
honorable,
US Open.
Chris,
He's
doing
7-7 on the US Open. Nobody in that situation is going to turn around and say, "Oh, kid, hey, you're playing the wrong ball." 7-1 ahead. Somebody might think, you know, I've got this match anyway. I'll be a bit of a nice guy, and everyone's going to praise me and call me a hero, and I'll tell him he's playing the wrong ball. But not at 7-7. Nobody. Jayson Shaw
have
said
had players,
nobody, and it's exactly nobody's going to give him that. And it's his
I've
own
had
fault.
players in
Shay's done nothing
tournaments,
wrong.
stop me from committing a foul in fairly big amateur tournaments. And there was a tournament where it was ball in hand, but in the kitchen after the break, if you scratch. And unaware as I was, I took the ball and I placed it in the middle of the table. And I was about to shoot a ball in, and my opponent stopped me, said, "Well, you're going to commit a foul if you do that. I don't know if you're aware, but it's ball in hand in the kitchen." And I didn't take the fall. I put the ball in the kitchen and shot the shot. But what I find, and I've done that with people numerous times, but these are amateur tournaments. That's a little different. This isn't the US Open. Gambling,
I'll tell.
I would never do that because the guy's just going to laugh at you, you know, and I'm going to let him foul before playing money after every game. But tournaments are the same thing. But
it's a professional sport. If you're about to make a mistake, if I'm playing against you and you're about to make a mistake that's clearly going to give me a massive advantage, why would I stop you from doing it?
right.
Well,
Like I said, you're hooked on a ball. You see the guys playing a kick shot, and you think that's completely the wrong angle. He's missing that by about 3 inches. Are you going to turn around and say,
example.
Kid,
It's a little
kid, you might want to just come down the rail a little bit because you're not going to hit that there. Of course not. You're going to sit there and go, "He's about to make a foul." Brilliant.
Here's little Chris says,
I'm not disagreeing with you, Jim. I'm on the same side of this as you are, but I do struggle with the Aloysius Yap part of it because, like, you might think that that's not a good comparison, but I absolutely do. Aloysius in no way, shape, or form ever thought that he was going to end up taking a foul, no matter what, out of that situation. And you're right. Aloysius was up big at the time. Maybe he was up. I don't remember what he was up, but I think he was up pretty big in the set at that time. But I mean, without a doubt, Shane was on the right side of that, or on the, we'll say, the beneficial side on that at one point in time. And he had the opportunity to do that. I'm not saying that he's a worse player or a worse person or whatever for, because I agree with everything that you said. The only thing is I do remember back a year, not even a calendar year ago, and that happened. Now,
did Shane
I do want to
comment about that, Nate? Was he asked about
yeah,
that?
All right, can I just add? Adam Stevens has put some up here. I know. All right, I shall adjust my statement and say nobody in that room who considers themselves to have a chance to win the US Open would have told him.
Yeah.
Maybe other players that are there that are just there just for the experience, and they know
just wish
they're not going to get it. Nobody at the high level that thinks they're there to win a US Open or there to get points to qualify for a Mosconi Cup or think that they're going to. It's a difference between 50K or nothing. None of those guys are going to give them it.
I would have liked to see Aloysius Yap have this, just because I've seen that guy not even question the idea of it and just immediately just do what he thought was.
Yeah, but it's different.
Right.
Shane said, "I called extension." Aloysius Yap said, "Okay, if Shane says he called extension, then it's fine."
But that's not. But that's not his call to make. At the end of the day,
it's different from stopping somebody from making a foul.
Well, I get that, but like the idea is Aloysius.
If Aloysius supposed to be in the same
how Jim, let me talk. Like Aloysius literally could have said the extension was never warranted or it was never granted, and therefore I don't care if he said it or not. He did not say it loud enough for John Lehman to hear it, and therefore, because it was never awarded, it's a foul no matter what. But he didn't say that, and if he would have said that, he would have gotten the foul. I know because I talked to the people involved with that. If Aloysius.
Okay, that is maybe, but that's not even close to the same situation as somebody about to play a foul and you just let them do it. It's not even close.
The point is you're going to get a
ball.
ball.
It's a call of a technicality, and you turn around to the referee and say, "Referee, I want you to make a decision on this."
The point is all Aloysius or Shane has to do is say nothing, and they get ball in hand. If Aloysius says nothing, he gets ball in hand.
Possibly.
And if Shane says nothing, he gets ball in hand. Not possibly. He does.
Yeah, but one is a referee's call, and the other one is just a clear foul.
Well, the other one's a clear foul too because the extension
was
never warranted.
But Shane says I'm not going to keep going on about this because this is taking too long. I have to go and pick my daughter up, so I can't stay for the rest of the podcast. So what I will say is, Shane, Jayson, what a performance against Shane. You should be a wild card pick, and I think the other pick should be Al Qaeda. And I know
yes,
that Neight
I know
that Neight doesn't agree with me.
I would definitely like to see David and Francisco playing together.
Maybe we'll talk about the Mosconi Cup wildcards on another one.
Not from an American point of view, from a pool point of view. I'd like to.
Let's move over to the Moscone Cup part of it right now, so we can talk about this on the way out.
I can't.
Jim,
I'm going to go now. All right. Okay. I'll say if you. From a European standpoint, if you put the captaincy hat on me, there's certain things that captain's responsible for. I mean, you can't tell these players how to play pool. They all know how to play pool. You're not going to change anything that they're doing. The idea is you get 3 players given to you, then you get 2 wild cards, and you try and make those wild cards complete the full puzzle with the 3 that you're given automatically. And the whole idea of a captain, in my opinion, is that you have your period with your team to make sure that they are in the best frame of mind and best prepared to perform the best they possibly can for those 4 days. So you do everything you can to get them prepared. In recent years, and I think still now, there's 3 players that any captain would want on the team. That's Albin, Jayson, and Joshua.
Josh.
Yeah, they're the 3 guys that, any other 2 guys with them. You're just happy as a captain if you've got those 3 guys in it, and then you take what you get with the other 2.
Yes.
Alex is in a great position just now because he's got 2 of them already. He's got the hottest player on the planet qualifying, and he can give Jayson a wild card, and then he's got his 5th pick. Now, Jayson, Joshua, and Albin, they take care of themselves. He's got one unknown factor this year, and that is he's got a rookie. Now, it might be the hottest player on the planet, but it's still an unknown factor because he's never played Mosconi Cup before. Do I expect him to have an issue? Absolutely not. I think he's going to go there and he's going to destroy it like he has every other event he's played in. But you're never 100% sure. Right. So that's the only thing that I would feel that I would need to address as a captain at this moment. It's stage 1 of the captaincy. You've just got to pick your 2 wild cards. I think Jason's a lock. He's got to be in there. Back-to-back MVP. Look what he just did to Shane with the same break format. I mean, you can't not pick him. People say he's not been playing this well this year. Well, he's playing better right now than he was at this time last year. He's just not getting the results, and he's coming up against players that are just playing amazing matches out of nowhere, And that happens. That's a high-level pool. So for me, I got to look at how do I address the one slightly unknown factor I have, and that is Sanchez Ruiz in a Mosconi Cup, which is completely different. You can ask any of the players. It's completely different from anything that he will ever have played before in his life. He's not going to know what hit him. And they've all had it. Jayson, even as fantastic as he is now in Mosconi Cups, in his first few years, he really struggled to keep his emotions under control and to find a balance between, the crowd and the emotion of it all and actually focusing on what was on the table. It took Jayson a few years. He never really played his best pool up until maybe 2 or 3 years into it. So you never know. For me, this is the easiest pick that Europe has had, or it would be my easiest pick. Alex maybe thinks completely different, other people as well. For me to just pick Jayson because it's Jayson and Al Qaeda because he's FSR's best mate. If you ask FSR, who do you want in the team, he'll say Al Qaeda. Who's the guy that's with him? Who's the guy sitting behind him in every single one of these wins that he's had this year? Who's the first one there? Who's the first guy he looks over to when things are maybe not going well? Who's the first guy that comes up to him and gives him the pat on the shoulder? Who's the first guy having a quick word in his ear? Yeah. If you give him Al Qaeda, he might not need him, but if you give him it, you've covered that possibility that maybe he has a bad first day or whatever. And Al Qaeda's never let us down on Mosconi. He's always played solid. He's always picked his points up. He's got the experience. He's a good team player. You've already got the 3 guys that you want. You know, if those three guys play the way we expect them to play in a Moscone and the way they always have, and FSR plays the way he's played this whole year, it's ended. It's finished on day 3.
Yeah,
You know,
I can't see him letting the team down at all.
no, but you just want to cover.
Even though
You just want to cover
he's a
that.
rookie at the Mosconi Cup. I
And,
cannot see that happen.
One of my rules would be I only want one rookie on my team. So as good as Mario Hayes played, Max Lechner's played, you know, Fedor I still consider a rookie because the one he did play didn't have a crowd. So for me, those 3 fall away to the side, and I'm just saying this is my opinion. Those 3 fall away to the side because I've already got one rookie. I don't have space for a second one. I'm not putting another one in.
Right.
You know. So who's there? Then it's Kazakis who's got experience, and you've got Al Qaeda who's got experience. They would be the 2 guys that you would say. Kachi probably not playing great at the moment. Always a doubt about whether or not he's a good team player or not. So I'd be looking between Kazakis and Al Qaeda. Who's a better fit in that team? For me, it's Al Qaeda, just as a natural better fit because of the rookie you have. And discuss. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, Jim
Nate,
goes
just you and
bye-bye.
me. But now I have some news for pool players out there who are my age.
Well, can we not jump around? Can we attack that in a little bit? Well, let's talk about it, right? I mean, Jim just talked about his Moscow.
We'll take it.
Well,
later.
Jim and I talked about this yesterday, and like, do I think David Al-Qaeda would be a great addition to the team? Sure, absolutely. Do I think that Alex Laley has to pick him? No. And Jim said this is the easiest pick Europe's ever had. I think that just completely like destroys and disrespects the year that Mario He and Max Lechner have had. Both of them are above David Al-Qaeda in the money list. Both of them have bigger wins this year than deeper finishes and better wins this year than David. If you want to give me the argument that you need to coddle FSR because he's going to be a rookie and you have to give him the best environment to possibly have success, then sure, take David. I personally do not see FSR as needing to be coddled and protected because he's a rookie. I just don't see how the greatest player on earth right now, at least potentially the greatest player on earth right now. Maybe you can make an argument for Josh. Maybe 3 months ago, I would have made an argument for Fedor. But regardless, you're one of 2 people, I think, needs to be coddled and has to have his best friend there because he's not going to be able to handle it without him. That's what Jim and I talked about yesterday. I just don't see FSR needing to be protected in a way that you have to pick David Al-Qaeda. I think both Mario He and Max Lechner are more deserving, but it's a wild card pick. If you want to pick David Al-Qaeda, sure, but I wouldn't be picking David Al-Qaeda because you think that he needs to be there to protect FSR. I just don't see how that translates. You just don't need to protect him
like that. That Francisco would need protection or need to be coddled or need to be calmed down or any of the other reasons. I would look more at the overall team chemistry, and if I was going to pick David over Mario or some other Max or some other players that are stellar, I would say for overall team chemistry, not necessarily calming Francisco down, but aiding in the overall team and feeling in the team. If Ruiz would feel a little alienated because he is a rookie and need to prove himself, I think having someone who is a friend and a companion.
Well, yeah, but it's not like these.
Him. That's
yeah, but
working team chemistry. You know, team chemistry is important.
Sure, but as far as team chemistry, Max Lechner and Mario He are Albin's best mate, right? I mean, those guys are just as close as David and FSR are. So
good point.
At the end of the day, you're either going to be, coddling Albin or FSR, or you can just put the best person out there you think for the team, because nobody needs coddling, nobody needs protecting, nobody needs to make them feel like it is. And at the end of the day, it's not like Jayson Shaw's like, oh my God, I got to play with Max Lechner. I hate that guy. Man, I wish I had David. Every single one of those guys are extremely respected and liked by their peers. It's not like you're getting
Oh,
this huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like David's there, so everyone else is mad because everyone hates David and loves Max, or vice versa. Every single one of those guys are very well liked and respected by their peers.
Sure.
You're not gaining a ton of chemistry. I just don't buy that. You might gain chemistry with FSR, and if you want to talk about like maybe they're the best Scotch doubles partners in the world because they just came off the World Cup of pool, that's a real argument. I mean, I will take that. I am absolutely okay with that. But you just can't give me team chemistry when. Because basically by saying team chemistry, you're saying that nobody likes Max Lechner and nobody likes Mario He, and that's why you can't pick them. Everybody loves those guys. It's just, it doesn't work that way.
Right. No, I agree with that.
And both of those guys are Albin's best guys. So I don't know. I just don't see. It comes down to if you're gonna pick David Al-Qaedi, it's because of the Scotch doubles, the proven track record, and two, the Scotch doubles opportunity with FSR and David. If you're picking Mario He or Max Lechner, you're picking them because you think that they're in better form, and the results show it. It's not like it's a mile. It's not like
No.
Both of them have had a way significantly better year. But
who's currently hot? Who's got the hot hand?
Yeah,
that's a big deal. I mean, if you say, okay, all these professional players, I don't care, anywhere from say 790 Fargo and up, all play pretty close,
and they're all at this level. Yeah, so
then it's, hey, what players right now has got the hot hand and playing the best that they can play personally.
Yeah.
As a choice.
So that's my argument.
That's
my
a good
argument.
I
think the best player to pick right now is probably Mario He. And I thought it was Max Lechner because, of course, the way that he played, I think he deserves a spot. But I actually spoke with Max and Albin after the U.S. Open, and we were just kind of chatting casually. And, I brought up, like, do you think that this is going to get you into – or what I said to Albin was everyone was saying, like, Albin's rooting against Max, and if Max wins, then Albin's in some serious trouble. And I'm like, Albin, you probably wanted Max to win, not only because he's one of your best friends, but also like you're a lock in no matter what. Like if you don't qualify via points, there's no way Alex Lely isn't going to be picking you on the team. There's no way with the history that you've had. So if Max qualifies, that means that you qualify too, just via a wild card instead of a guaranteed spot. And he's like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I don't know why everybody was like thinking that I wanted him to lose so that I could be on the team. And then Max like, yeah, I don't think I make it now. And I'm like, well, why don't you think you make it now? And he's like, because I think Mario is more deserving than I am. He's like, he's had better finishes. He's been at the top of every single event. He hasn't gotten over the hump. He keeps losing in the semifinals. But if you look at all of the major events, all the semifinals, you'll see Mario He's name in almost every single one of these quarterfinals. And he's like, I don't think I deserve it as much as Mario He does. And I mean, if Max Lechner's telling me that Mario is more deserving than he is, then yeah, maybe he is, but I don't know. I think you could pick either one of those guys and be in a. I think you could. At the end of the day, you could pick any of those three guys, and you're in just a fine spot, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the U.S. is picking between players at nearly 100 Fargo points less than all the players that we're naming. So I mean, you can say whatever you want about Fargo.
Right.
Fargo is nothing more than a representation of what you've done. So it's.
Yeah.
It might not be
has a tougher goal for sure. Who's going to be, the picks on the end, the number 4 and 5. I mean, who are they going to be? Ronnie here says, what do you think between Tyler and Earl? For if you were going to have a choice between those two.
Earl, no. Spare me, Earl. No. Earl's no. I mean, done. Earl.
Yeah, I think between those two, you got to go Tyler, but.
Well, the U.S. is actually pretty lucky, right? Because at the end of the day, the three best playing, at least very, very easily, arguably, the three best U.S. players who are eligible to play the Moscone Cup, all got they all got automatic bids. Oscar, Sky, Shane. I don't think that anyone could argue any other way, at least with players that are actually eligible. So now you get the wild cards to pick whoever you
Yeah.
want. I think it's pretty obvious. Personally, I think the U.S. side is kind of boring. I don't see how you can pick anybody but Billy and Tyler.
Right.
Chris had a pretty decent run. He won his first 3 matches, but he said his break failed him, and it did. And we saw Chris working on his break in a couple of Facebook posts. But I'll guarantee you right now, from the videos that I saw of what Chris was doing, he's not breaking hard enough to qualify. I mean, Matchroom says you need to break forcibly, whatever that means. What I do know is, what is it? It's like the congressman. It's like it's hard to define what porn is, but you know it when you see it. That's what the congressman said it. Anyways, a forcible break is really hard to define, but you know it when you see it. And what Chris was doing was not a forcible break. So he's still going to have to figure out his break
game. So I didn't.
Yeah, I was on site, so I got to watch a little bit of it, right? So
yeah.
I don't think he was on stream for anything, but he's making some YouTube posts and or some Facebook posts and of his break that he's been working on. It's not hard enough. It's not going to work. So, I mean, unless Chris can show that he can get that breakdown, I just don't see who else you can pick. I mean,
who about Shane? Young Shane
Wolford. I mean, he's had some good runs. He's had some good runs, but do I think that he's quite ready for it? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, if you're telling me that I can have Tyler or Shane Wolford, I'm going to take Tyler. If you tell me I can have Billy Thorpe or Shane Wolford, I'm going to take Billy Thorpe. If I could have Shane Wolford or Nick DeLeon or Greg Hogue, we can have a conversation. I think he fits nicely into that type of into that category. I think he's higher than those two slightly. I think Shane has really come into form and he's playing some really solid pool.
When is his pick going to be out? When are we going to know about the?
I think the wild cards are coming up pretty soon.
You think so?
Yeah, I think they're coming out.
Well,
pretty
you got to
soon.
get these guys ready to play. I mean, you want to let them know early.
Sure. Well, and I got to push back on Ronnie a little bit. So like, there's no such thing as deserving when it comes to a wild card pick, right? I mean, deserving starts and ends with the 3 qualified spots. I mean, those are the people who deserve them because they earned them by getting up high enough. Past that, it's not about deserving. It's about who Jeremy thinks would create the best team. And you don't deserve anything if you don't qualify. I mean, and that's why, Jim could turn this around on me right here and say, well, that's why David Al-Qaeda is getting in. Sure. I mean, I would concede at that point in time to David Al-Qaeda, but like, I just don't see how Joey Tate is not getting in. Stop that. Sorry, Tom. No. It's not about deserving to me. It's about who's going to be the best team. And you cannot tell me, and you cannot look at anything that Shane has done and say that he is a better player than Billy Thorpe at this point in time in his career. Will he be in the future?
Played on a team before, Nate?
Yeah, he played in 20. I'm going to get this wrong. 2016 maybe.
Okay, so one other time he played.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and he didn't do well. But that was kind of when we were getting beat down, and
sure.
So who knows?
Yeah, he's been playing a lot the last couple of years. So.
Yeah, he's been playing a ton. I mean, he will be there.
Well, yeah, I believe so too.
Yeah, he will be there. I mean, if Shane's not in this year, I think he will be there next year.
Right.
No. So the three on the U.S. side who are already announced are Shane, Sky, and Oscar.
Yeah.
I believe
he's got to be happy about that. I bet that's his buddy.
Yeah, Oscar. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Oscar was deserving last year. I think Oscar's deserving over Earl.
Yeah, we talked about that last year. Yeah.
And I'm using deserving there, not in the sense that I just hated on, but I mean like deserving in a sense of that he's playing the best. I mean, I think he's a better player than Earl. And if he's not a better player than Earl, he's
yeah.
close enough that his head will be better than Earl's in the moment. So
most players might be.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
there's the show-stopping quality that Earl brings to the table is exceptional for sure. I mean, whether it's good or bad, it's showmanship of one form or another. Nobody's going to beat Earl at that. So, but the actual play,
it is a TV show.
who knows? It is, yeah, it is, yeah. It's supposed to be entertainment, and he brings
Who do you
that
like?
factor to the table.
So who do you like on the U.S. side?
Who do I like?
Yeah, for the 4th and 5th picks.
I do like Tyler, for one of them. The 5th pick, there's a lot of room here. You've got half a dozen players out there that could fill that spot and probably perform equally.
Actually,
Billy Thorpe,
I
of course,
sure.
we know his track record. His game seems to elevate. In this year, not so much in the Open, but his game seems to elevate in on that stage. You bring him to the Moscone Cup international pool. It's the biggest one out there, and it's 9-ball, and who's any better at that? But I think what he needs, and I didn't watch any of his matches or anything. You might have, but what was his break like with the 9-ball on the spot? Did he get control of that a little bit or no?
I didn't watch. To be honest, I didn't watch any of those.
Okay,
No.
because that when you watch Tyler, I mean, how many times did he make that 1-ball on the side on the break? Almost every single time he broke. That one was going right in the side. Now, maybe he wasn't ending up with a shot after that, but he was pocketing the one in the side at a high rate. I'm going to say 70% at least. 7 out of 10 breaks, he was making the one in the side. Now, are these other players going to have the ability to do that? When you watch Francisco and you watch Carlo and all the other top 10 players, they were making the one in the side at a high percentage. So they were getting another turn at the table, and the first one to the table be having control of it, whether you push out next or kick safe or whatever safety you play, you are at an advantage, period.
Mhm.
And the players that succeeded in the Open were pocketing the ball in a break. I mean, there was a couple of breaks where 3-4 balls would go. I don't know. I can't remember a break where somebody made four balls. And that was in the semifinals, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's
So it's not that they're not able to make balls. It's not a consistent thing every time you break.
And that's why they switched.
You're going to make that wing ball. You're not guaranteed that now.
That's why
and
they're
you're not
switching to this
guaranteed
approach.
of where that cue ball is going back and forth, and it's going in the side every once in a while when it doesn't get kissed.
Or the corner.
Look at Shane in that last tournament or whatever. How many he scratched like 4 or 5 times in a row?
Yeah, the European Open.
Yeah. What's with that?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 rails cross side 4 or 5 times.
Another name that hasn't gotten any love, but it's probably because he hasn't been playing as many of the Matchroom events. But I think Jeremy Seaman would be an okay player. I mean, he's playing in all of the Predator stuff. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
Is he having a lot of deep finishes? No, not really. But he is. He's out there. He's battle tested. He's at least been in the mix. I think to not at least give him a shout out would be a disservice to how well he's playing. And of course, he's a 770 Fargo.
Right. What's Chris Reinholdt's number? Fargo, 750?
He's right around a 755,
Okay.
760,
And
somewhere
you said
in there.
no, his break wasn't working too well. He wasn't hitting him hard enough or something, or did you watch him?
Well, so yeah, I watched him play on site, and his break was just failing him. I mean, he was running out the balls really well. I mean, he won his first 3 matches to get into the final 32, but then, his break kind of failed him at the highest level. He's a 743.
Okay.
His break kind of failed him at the highest level, and so he started going off and working on it. And he posted a video yesterday that I saw, and he was breaking and making a couple of balls, but his cue ball is barely getting off the rail and barely coming back into the stack and just barely getting through it. So it's like that's not going to be hard enough. I mean, you got to. They're gonna say right away like that's not a hard enough break, and I think I don't even know what the rules are, whether it's the first one's a warning and the second one is just a loss of inning, or if the first one's immediately a loss of inning. But I know that what I saw, that's not going to work. So we'll see. We'll see on that. So
How
I guess
about our podcast buddy? Did you watch him play at all out there? He didn't go
Chris
very
Alexander.
far, but Demi.
Oh, Demetrius. Yeah, I wasn't able to watch much of his matches.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. I wasn't able to watch him much. Demetrius doesn't play in enough events to be able to.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be a pick, but I was just wondering how it went for him because I saw he won a match, but a couple.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess let's. Did you have any picks? Who are your fourth and fifth? Tyler and who?
Tyler, and then I'm up in the air. I really don't have one that I can say, yeah, this player needs to be on the team.
Yeah.
Actually, I do like Chris. I do. He's
I would
been
be
there.
okay with Tyler.
You know, he has been there and on the team, and he yes, okay, did he falter a couple times here or there or whatever, but I think he can bring a game. I like him for the team. I do.
Sure. Okay, so let's move on. I do want to give a shout out really quickly because we didn't talk about this when we talked about the U.S. Open, but I think it's worth talking about the Shane Van Boening Juniors, the SBV Junior Open Pool Championship that happened at the same time. Khalid Al-Ghamdi gets first place. Congratulations. This was the junior, so under 18. Trenton White gets second place, an American. Awesome. Landon Hollingsworth, an amazing up-and-coming player. I mean, this kid is going to be – he already is the real deal. Just a matter of getting him a few more years to get up into that that elite tier with the rest of the U.S. players. Cashton Keaton also actually streamed a match with him and Sam Henderson, and I don't want to dog on him, but he was not the player that he was now. I mean, he has improved so much in the last year and a half. He's obviously been putting in the really, really hard work. So awesome to you, Cash, and keep up that awesome work. Yannick Pongers and Dakari Turnquist, Lazaro Martinez the third, and Nico Conkel all get 5th through 8th. So pretty awesome stuff. Onboard Sportswear, shout out. They sponsored the event with some pretty sick jerseys. They were kind of the light blue tealish that Shane
nice.
actually wears. They're pretty sick. So
yeah,
shout out to Onboard for doing that and for sponsoring the event. Yeah, I guess let's move on to the last, which is Jayson Shaw versus Shane Van Boening. I don't think Shane has been beaten this bad in his entire career. 120 to 80. I never saw that coming. I had a lot of people ask me, what do I think was going to happen? I thought Shane was going to win. Not super comfortably, but I thought he'd win by double digits. And I'm eating it. I will eat the crow on this one. I mean, Jayson Shaw, what a performance. Incredible stuff.
You think Shane had a little post-open letdown in this match, like it was just bad timing for him?
I have no clue. I mean, at the end of the day, he went just. I mean, Shane was not jet lagged. There's no way he was jet lagged. I mean,
no, I don't mean jet lagged. I mean,
I'm referring to Tom, because Tom. I mean, he was at the Philippines, sure, but I mean, he spent I think a week at home before he even came to the U.S. Open. So he was definitely not jet lagged. And if it was at Texas, so it's a 1 hour time difference behind. I don't know. I don't know what happened, to be honest. I mean, Jason's a great player.
I mean, a motivational leg. That's what I think.
You know, he's played a lot of big matches. He's played 3 of them in the Philippines, and then he comes over and he plays the U.S. Open. But, I mean, you're a professional player. I mean, I can't give him really a pass on that because, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, this is your job. You can't just, well, I mean, I guess a lot of people do just take weeks off of work emotionally and mentally, right? But
have you ever talked to a player who is was in the peak of their career, kind of, and they'll say things after a tournament, a 5-day, 4-day event, that they don't even eat or sleep right for a week afterwards, that they're so drained emotionally and mentally, not physically drained, but the other part of the game, the head game, that they're not right in their mind for a week afterwards. I've talked to some players like that, and they'll say that. They'll say, I don't eat right, I don't sleep right, I don't, like it's a post it the mental stress to play top level pool day after day, match after match against people who are just as good as you practically is draining. How can you go after like a U.S. Open and then play a singles match against one of the best players in the world and have all your faculties with you? I don't care if you're the best professional on earth.
I mean, sure. I mean, I think that there definitely is something to that. With that being said, I mean, Shane didn't make the last 2 days of the event of the U.S. Open, and he was knocked out in the final 32, I believe. I think he lost in the round of. Actually, he may have lost in the round of 64. Now that I think about it, it was either the round of 62 or the round of 64 or 32.
Well, if Joey beats him, he loses earlier than that.
Well, that was the opening round. I mean, theoretically, he could battle back and make the final 64 in the single knockout stage. But I mean, it definitely does. I mean, Raymond would know. I mean, he's a absolute top player too. But I mean, how much? I don't know. I just don't know how much time it takes to recover. Because I mean, Shane was done, I believe, at the latest on Friday, and I think he may have been done on Thursday out of the tournament. So he has until Monday when this match starts. Is that enough time to decompress? I don't know. It could have been an oversight too. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're talking. I mean, everything that we've talked about so far is why Shane didn't win, and maybe the reason Shane didn't win is just because Jayson played that great.
Well, that could be too.
I mean, at the end, maybe there's no excuse. I mean, maybe Shane was absolutely dead prepared, and there's nothing he could have done to be more prepared or more ready, and Jayson just outplayed him.
Yep.
I mean, that's absolutely possible. Jayson is that caliber of player. It's not like it's a weird thing for Jayson to beat Shane like this, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not like me beating
700 balls in straight pool."
Yeah, you got a chance, right? I mean,
you got a chance.
You got a chance. Maybe it's not like it's me beating Shane Van Boening 120 to 80. It is Jayson Shaw. I mean, the guy can play some pool, right?
Yeah,
maybe that's
put you into a coma if that happened.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? I mean, 9-ball is definitely a closer game. I don't think Jason's going to take him on in
10-ball?
10-ball anytime soon.
No, probably not. The break is too big.
A 40-piece nugget is a serious meal plan. That's good.
Okay, honey. Bye.
I think I'm gonna, just because I think it'd be of interest, Raymond, I'm gonna send you an invite to this if you want to come in and chat with us for a second. We're going to be closing up pretty soon here, but Raymond is an extremely smart and articulate player as well. So I think he'd be, and of course he played in the event. So I think if you're free and you want to jump in and chat with us, feel free. Chip it. All right, here he comes.
Ship it.
I got to do some commentary with Raymond in the New Jersey tournament, so I'll give you a shout out for that. It's always fun doing commentary with him. He's a lot like me in a sense of like we have very, very dry senses of humor, and if we'll often say a joke and like
and
I think
like
this is
piece of dry wood.
Well, there's a lot of people they think that like I'm an asshole because like when I make a joke, generally speaking, people are supposed to laugh at their own jokes if it's funny, but I don't laugh at like hardly anything. So like I'm super dry, and like Raymond like is like the same way where he'll make like the funniest joke in the history of forever, and he just doesn't do anything. He just sits there like, yeah, I did that. It's fun. He's a fun dude to be around.
Yeah, you're beyond dry, Nate.
Yeah. I'm a very I have a very dry sense of humor, we'll say. But no, he was at this event too, and he was also playing in the Sandcastle Open as well. Which shout out to Ed Ladawi. I was at the that one. Oh, here we are, and he's got the most epic beard ever, right?
Let me kill the.
Oh, nice.
What's going on, Ray?
Back here.
So he needs a little volume.
All right, I think I'm here. Can you hear me?
You are here. We hear you.
Great. Sorry, I'm in my office computer, so I don't have my lighting done right or anything like that. So you kind of caught me off guard here. But how's it going?
Good. How are you, man?
Doing great, man. Yeah.
So remember when we were sitting in the booth and you had there's a lot of beard in this in this booth, and only one of us is contributing. There's a lot of beard in this podcast, and you're still the only one contributing.
What, Nate? You might have a problem growing a beard.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's hilarious. But yeah, how can
Do you shave at all? Even
Don't worry about it. I got the Manscaped, all right? I got the Lawnmower 4.0.
I love it.
Fire. Yeah, man. I mean, you guys were talking about the decompression time post U.S. Open, and Shane, I think he was out in the round of 64, and then, after that he still had to be at the U.S. Open to kind of tend to his duties for the junior stuff. So he's kind of like on task for that, not really getting a chance to relax or whatever. And then you can tell he was sweating too some of the matches that were going on and watching Carlo. I think I saw him, he was by the arena watching Carlo and Francisco's match and stuff. And then after that, you got to go, you got to travel and get ready to go knock heads with Jayson. But I think people were probably more critical of Shane's loss just because of the errors that he made, not so much that they expected Jayson not to play as good as he did, because Jayson is a fantastic player. But there were just some mistakes that were uncharacteristic you're not used to seeing Shane make. So you can make excuses for it. There's probably some mental stuff factoring in, but to Jayson's credit, he put a lot of heat on someone. And if you're prone to, in that moment, respond to a situation with a little disengagement or to kind of press and, not execute well, and the guy on top of you is just beating on you, putting more pressure, it's kind of hard to keep the snowball from becoming an avalanche, and Jayson.
The snowball and avalanche. Yes, there is that factor.
Jayson just kind of, that momentum's a big deal. And sometimes guys just, will get to a spot where if they don't believe that they can come back and make the run, then they don't come back and make the run, especially if they're struggling with the break or, they're making little errors and that kind of stuff. It's kind of hard to get in the trenches and just go one step at a time and climb the mountain. So, Jayson.
How many Opens have you played in, Raymond?
This is my third one. I played my first U.S. Open in 2011 after I won the U.S. Amateurs. So I won that as a qualifier spot, and then played my first one in a while last year.
You played last year, yeah. I remember you playing last year.
And then this year. So I'll play every Open for the rest of my life probably until they just.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us about it. You played in both the Sandcastle and the U.S. Open. Mm-hmm. What'd you think?
I mean, it's good to have a bunch of tournaments that are similar formats within, a few weeks of each other, especially as guys try to dial in on stuff like the break, and I'm glad that Matchroom went with the 9 on the spot with the template and kept it the whole tournament.
Yeah,
I think we saw with one of their previous tournaments, when you try and switch to the triangle, it doesn't do well. There's too much.
I didn't like that either.
And the break is hard enough as it is, as we've seen with the template, right? Like the guys aren't going to make the wing ball every time, and it's hard to get position and line things up and get balls dressed up over the corners like you would with the one on the spot. So there's
many more kisses.
Yeah, there's enough variance as it is by constricting the box and putting the template and the 9 on the spot that you don't need to worry about anything else. That's the hardest you can do. So it's my purview. They should just keep that forever and make that their standard.
I do agree with that.
The 9 on the box thing, I get it. I'm impartial, whether it's from the box or from the rail. The box is fine. Cool. That's going to be the standard. Then go with it. I don't like the 3-point rule. I think that's dumb. So I think they have it right. And I kind of mirrored the International Open. And then now you have the International Open coming. So I'm expecting now that break standards are going to go up because you have 2 big events that happen right before this one, and it's world-class competition. You start realizing what's really valuable. So I think guys should really be honing in and working on that break. I've kind of implemented a strategy. If there's a critical shot that comes up for a tournament that you're going to be competing in, like if you play the Predator events, it's the shootout shot, right? That spot shot with the 10 ball, that has to be in the pocket, right? You just got to work on it till it's automatic. There should be no I wonder if I should shoot like this or shoot like that. I went to the Michigan Open and I had kind of really drilled the shootout ball, and I ended up beating Roland Garcia to get to a winner's qualification round. He's the number 1 rated player in that tour. But when I watched him play me, he was shooting the shootout shot in a certain fashion, which I don't agree with. I don't think it's as consistent. And then he played Alex and he switched. He kind of not fully mimicked the way I did it, but adjusted his style. So that tells me that he didn't have it in the bag. Like, it wasn't rock solid set. He's kind of like testing stuff out. Probably because Carlo was going up there whipping the ball around 100 miles an hour with draw or whatever. And he was like, well, Carlo's making 100 of these spot shots. I should try it this way. And I don't agree with the way Carlo was shooting it, even though he's a super freak talented guy. I just think that if you put his way up versus like a Fedor or Mika who's rolling the ball in, they each shoot 2,000 shots, he's going to miss more shots than the other guys are.
So Carlo's going short rail, long rail, short rail, right?
Yeah, he's whipping a 3 rail short with draw at a little bit higher speed. And I just think with the new cloth, it's more prone to, you're going to have a stroke hitch 1 out of every 20 shots. You're going to have a deflection hitch 1 out of every 20 shots. You're going to have, the higher rate of speed, you might just mishit the ball 1 out of every 20 shots. And that adds up over time. You have these percentages layered into how you're shooting the shot. Whereas if Federer just has to deliver his cue straight and roll the ball, and he's not accounting for stun and throw and all this other stuff, he's just going to make a good hit more times than you are. And he's going to beat you. Chang as well, those kind of guys who are super, super efficient with it, they kind of just, this is how we're going to shoot it every single time. And I'll die on my sword. I might miss a ball. I don't care. I'm going to shoot this every single time this way. And over time, I'm going to outlast people who are shooting it and changing lines and shooting from the rail one time and then shooting from the bottom rail another time. They're just adding layers of variance that don't need to be there. And so I saw kind of Roland doing that when he played me, and he was also kind of feeling some pressure, it looked like, for whatever reason. So I just had a feeling I was going to win because I was like, I already have made my decision on how I'm going to shoot this ball. There's no other pressure on, like, that's not a factor in my head, So I think that's got to be the case. And the same thing has to go with the break, the Matchroom stuff, like this 9 on the spot, 10-foot break, you got to go put in your time, you know what I mean? And so like when I went to Michigan, I shot 100 shootout shots from 25 from each quadrant for like, a little 2-hour session at the pool room, and kind of dialed in a process that works for me. And that was my approach. And I just repeated that a few times. And now I have, 400, 500, 600 shootout shots in my pocket, and I feel confident. Now, when we went to a shootout, it's not a big deal. I don't have to sweat the fact that I'm in a shootout. I know I'm going to make this shot. And I made all of my shootout shots, and he missed 2, I think. So you got to be at that place so that kind of like takes the edge off. So you're not wondering about the little nuances of these shots, either the break shot or the shootout shot. When you go to compete, the wondering about that nuance is gone. You have, at least for yourself, your process is set, and that can help take the pressure off a little bit. And you can just focus on going through your process and delivering that shot, and it just so happens to be that Alex Pagulayan is sitting down, while you're shooting this shot. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, look, Alex is sitting here while I'm trying to make this ball or execute this shot under pressure. So I think that's really important, the workmanship behind it.
That reminds me of the story I told on one podcast about Jamie Barracks when I met him at a tournament one time, and he told me he practices by shooting and aiming to shoot 200 consecutive spot shots without missing in a row. Mm-hmm. And I went, no, you're joking, right? Mm-hmm. I don't believe you. And right. He goes, no. I said, so you're telling me when you get to 192, you just start over? And he goes, yeah, till I get to 200. And so that's a little bit, Raymond, a little bit what you're saying is that when you do that time after time after time after time, mm-hmm. then you do have that process built in,
right?
Where now there's just not as much stress on the shot,
right?
You've just made it 200 times in a row. I mean, what's another 4?
Exactly for the guys that are really drilling, they always ask, how do I work on my confidence? Well, this is how. You get numbers. Like I kind of spreadsheet a lot of stuff, and I write down. Like yesterday, I did. I started implementing kind of like my break training leading up to the international, and I wrote down, okay, I'm just going to work on my break for this next hour, 2-hour block. I'm going to aim to break 100 times. I'm going to break 25 from the left, 25 from the right, 25 from the left, 25 from the right. Everyone is marked. Everyone tells me, okay, I made X amount of balls. I have a little column at the bottom, dry breaks, 9 on the snap, break and scratch. And then I just tally those up. And now I have metrics. And now I say, okay, for this 50 break period, I broke and made 72 balls, which means I have a 1.44 balls per break average. I scratched on the break 3 times, or I broke dry 3 times. I scratched on the break once, I made 1-9 on the break. Now I know for 50 game period, these are within the realm of my, returns on year.
Very scientific approach.
Yeah, I mean it's metrics. I mean we use it in every other sport. Analytics for basketball and advanced stuff. That's how they really kind of figure out player efficiency ratings. So if you have that for yourself, for let's say something as crucial as the break, then
Right up your alley, Nate.
If I broke and scratched in this set, then I know out of 50 games, I'm liable to break and scratch twice or 3 times in this format. You know what I mean? So that means for the next 50 games, I might not, 30 games, I might not break and scratch. So I don't have to be so tentative or so afraid and tighten up a little bit. Just keep delivering your stroke, your action, and just the way you've trained yourself to execute the shot. And the numbers will bear out for you over the course of time. And I think for the American players, as they're working their way up the ranks, they feel the added pressure of the gotta perform now thing. And there's also the expectation from the fans. They keep on talking about, American players aren't talented enough and they're not working hard. They're working hard. But what happens is that it takes time for the numbers to bear out in their favor. What you're watching now with Francisco having this stellar year, that's not 1 year in the making. That's 5, 6, 7 years of process in the making that he's gone through the stuff that the American players are starting to go through now to get to the point where he can stand on top of the match table at the end of the US Open and be the champion. And all the people saying that, American players aren't working hard, or they're not training hard, you have to be patient. A lot of them haven't been playing. There's been 1 or 2 guys that have been playing consistently the last 4 or 5 years, and they're having their results still. Shane is world champion, but he's been playing consistently the last 20 years. Skyler is still looking to break into that spot, and he's been going at it 4, 5, 6. So it means Skyler is going to be due for a big super major title because he's 4 or 5 years into his process. So we can't have this idea that, just because they're not getting the results right now. And I understand as a sports fan, it's tempting to want to have that inclination to be like, we're going to get the results right now. And if we're not, then woe is me, doom, everybody sucks. That's not the truth. There's 30 guys in the US that are traveling, that are grinding, that are putting in their due diligence, that are putting in their time and their hours, that are going to start yielding those results over the next 3, 4, 5 years. But, fans, especially American fans, especially people that are in social media, they want the best results right now.
They want it yesterday.
Players want that themselves, but they understand that this is a journey. And the second that they get into the minutia of I have to make this ball right now or my entire life is over, then they self-sabotage and they don't get there. Like Greg Hogue, for instance, he had a great year. He put in a tremendous amount of work on the table, was literally 1 match away from qualifying for Moscone Cup outright, So I hope for Greg's sake, even if he doesn't get picked now as a wild card, that he doubles down on the interest of the time that he's put in this year and continues to go through his process, because in the next 2, 3, 4 years, it's gonna benefit him and his process over time. We're looking at a vacuum of a small window of time, and he's trying to break through. It's a great story. But, he can't get down on himself if he doesn't get a wild card pick, because he gave his best effort to qualify outright, and he was 1 match away. That's exactly the spot you want to be in. If you tell me or any other American player, okay, I'm going to put you in a spot at the end of the year where if you win 1 match, you make the team, would you take that? Every one of them should say yes, right? Because now it's in their hands, and they know they can go out there and play 1 match, and if they happen to win, they make the team. Fantastic. I'll take that 20 years in a row. Because out of 20 years, I might start getting there 6, 7, or 8 times. That's
Right.
that's all you can hope for. So
Right.
I think,
Do you think
people need to take a step back and just kind of chill and be encouraging to their local guys and really kind of realize that there's a process that's going on for them as they start kind of dedicating themselves to the craft.
are the European players by and large backed by their government in any way, shape, or form? In other words, do they have to have jobs, or can they just play pool?
Yeah,
Many are.
a lot of them are, and a lot of them are being supported and sponsored to travel. That's a huge
That is big.
thing. That's a volume of time. So now you have to think about it. Okay, if there's a puzzle here, the puzzle is how do you outlast and how do you beat the best players in the world? They're going to beat you on tournament time volume, right? Because they're getting sponsored and trained. You have to be more diligent with what tournaments you go to and pick and kind of manage that stuff until you get to a position where you can dedicate more time. So your training volume has to be as high or higher. And you have to simulate that pressure environment for yourself, whether it's in small gambling games or whether it's in just, your practice time, whatever it is. You can't allow them to have a higher volume of dedicated, focused work. And so I think when you get really down into the nuts and bolts, if you're more detailed about your process, you can catch up a little bit on some of the iterations that they're getting through just high level competition, because they're all working at like, I kind of view competition as like, okay, this is the meta game, right? And we're going to refine within the meta what's the most efficient thing. And you kind of iron that out over 10,000 games, over a year of all the top professionals playing, right? You see what wins games and what doesn't win games based on the current skill set. So you can either try and outlast them with the current skill set or improve your skill set so you have an advantage in an area of weakness that the meta is showing you. So the meta is showing you we're weak in this area, but we're super strong in this area. Well, you're not going to stand in the middle of the ring and try and outpunch Mike Tyson because that doesn't work, So how do you beat Mike Tyson? You got to be a better fighter. You got to be a technical fighter. You got to move. You got to extend.
Got to bite his ear off.
You got to get past the third round. That was always the thing. You get Mike past the third round, he's going to tire out, and then you can start landing your jab, win on points, and then you can come in. Especially if you're a big fighter, you can hold him off, and then boom. That's how Holyfield beat him. That's how Lennox Lewis got him. So there's an answer to every puzzle. People just have to ask the right questions. And so I see a lot of people trying to get in the middle of the ring with filler and outpunch filler, and that's just a losing strategy until he becomes older and stops, just shooting everybody's liver in, right? I mean, he's like the modern Earl. So you're either going to outpunch filler or you're going to beat filler in a different way. And so My question to most American players is, what kind of player do you want to be? Do you want to put yourself in a losing position and go the hard way, which is to try and outpunch Shane for all these offensive monsters, or do you want to work on your game and become technically more savvy and outmove them to get to a winning position? And then you run out your balls when your balls are open and you do your thing, and that's the thing.
Well, I think that's where Demetrius is coming from too.
Yeah.
What are you self-employed, Raymond?
Currently, no. I work full time with a media outlet, and I do professional video production stuff for them. So they keep me mostly occupied. But I do come from a freelance background.
Okay, so your pool time is limited then.
It's focused.
Okay.
Yeah. Very structured.
I was
structured.
gonna say that's a good way of putting it. It's focused, and it's got to be, which is probably why you're putting all the analytics into it, right? So you can optimize what time that you do have, right?
I don't have the luxury of just go around here and just hit balls for a couple. I mean, I could do that, but
okay,
sure. I think a lot of people kind of get lazy and they don't.
Well, I see you're wearing glasses.
Yeah.
And have you always worn glasses playing pool?
No, I don't wear them when I play pool. I take them off when I play pool.
You don't wear it, so you have no correction when you're playing pool, then.
No.
And
I've tried to wear the Dr. What's his name in Philadelphia? Dr. Curran.
Yeah, the one that's like way up here.
I ordered his glasses and I tried them on, but the correction, the magnification is too intense for me, and the depth of field is weird. I feel like I'm in a fishbowl, so I'd have to go see him and kind of tone them down so I can have some kind of correction. But I definitely can't shoot with these on, and I'm used to playing.
Okay.
I'm farsighted naturally, so I'm not. I have some edge correction there, but it'd be better if I had.
That's what I found with correction on my eyes, is the depth perception was not accurate. My brain couldn't translate what I was seeing into reality, right. Because you're not seeing reality. You're seeing.
I'm not used to seeing the ball kind of like almost magnified up close to my eye. When I have the glasses on, it is strange. I have to feel like I have to like stand further back.
Okay.
Away from the ball. So I'd rather just not deal with it until I can get that done properly. And I'd probably have to do that in person with him. So,
yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I mean, don't always wear glasses, but I can't play with them on.
I did see at a Holiday Inn last night, though.
So that's effective.
Yeah,
So
no,
that basically qualifies you for most things.
do you wear contacts? I've tried the contacts thing, but that my reflex to it's painful. It's comically, it's hilariously sad how bad it was trying to put a contact in my eye. So
I could not. I used to have wear a magnifying glass thing to look at, to even see if I had it inside out or outside in on my finger.
Well, Rob, this seems like a perfect time to transition to what you wanted to talk about today. So why don't you?
Yes, I do want to mention this to players in my age range who now are finding
So
that
the mid to late 130s, right? 130s.
Exactly. And players who have vision problems, anyways, it doesn't even matter really what your age is, but you can see as you age, your vision deteriorates somewhat normally. That's a normal process. Well, there is a way now. I have lens replacement surgery done recently, about 3 months ago. I see now like I did when I was 25 years old and 30 years old. So my pocket pool game is revitalized, totally revitalized. And instead of just playing stick into 3 cushion because I can't see, now I'm back to starting to play pocket pool. But my point is this: this is not LASIK, this is lens replacement,
right?
And they have some high-end quality lenses now that fix all kinds of things with just one lens. And the consensus is that you need to have cataracts or starting of cataracts to have this lens replacement surgery done. It is like a criteria that the surgeons have to meet in order to say, yes, this patient is qualified to have the surgery done. Well, I don't have cataracts. I didn't even really have the start of cataracts, just barely, because of my age. Yet I had cataract surgery. Well, how did that happen? It happened because I explained to my eye doctor the quality of life that I needed for the rest of my life, if that's 5 years or 10 or whatever it is. And then he said, I just had a truck driver in here not too long ago that's, 40 years old, didn't have cataracts, but yet I recommended him for cataract surgery. And the surgeon said, okay. And they did it because it was his quality of life, because he drives a truck for a living.
Right.
I said to the surgeon and the doctor, I said, what if I'm playing pool for a living? And I need this for quality of life and for me to make a living playing pool, which I don't play pool for a living, but yet it's income. He said, I'm going to recommend you for surgery. So I went to the surgeon and I said the same thing to him. I want a quality of life for the next 5 or 10 years or however many years I have left. Will you do the surgery? And he said, yes, I will.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
So it was out of pocket expenses for sure. But so what?
Right.
I can see right now at the age of 74 like I could see when I was 30.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. And so for all the people out there that are thinking they can't have the surgery done because they don't have cataracts, you can get around it. You just have to find an eye doctor that'll recommend a surgeon to you and a surgeon that'll do the surgery.
Yeah.
So it's not like mandated you have to have cataracts to have this surgery. You don't. And I want to share that with all the players, pool players out there that have these big glasses over the top of their eyes, and they're playing and looking at the rims, and they can't. They love the game, so they're willing to put up with all this visual cluster in order to play, when that isn't absolutely necessary. There's ways to do it, and I was lucky. I found an eye doctor that recommended me, and I found a surgeon that would do it.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff. Really good stuff.
And now I can get you to play with my wife in some more pool tournaments.
I can, absolutely, and I will.
She can carry you to the
start going back to tournaments. I'm going to play. My game is back, fella.
You should still keep playing 3 cushion though. don't just get away from it.
Absolutely. I'm never quitting three cushion because I learned something. I just played Dick Jaspers.
Yeah.
And he came here to put on an exhibition, a couple of clinics,
You're very lucky.
and I got my name drawn out of a hat to play him.
Wow.
And I was in the clinic besides, so I had 4 hours with him and everything like that. But we played a short race to 12.
Mhm.
I lost 12-8, which in 4 innings, which was not that bad.
Yeah.
Pretty darn good for me.
Right.
And
I mean,
and
he can run 12 and whenever he wants. So it's kind of like
pretty
he gets
much,
the balls open.
he ran a 4, a 3, and then it was like 8-1.
Right.
In 1 inning, I made 1 and 2 innings, and then it was my turn to shoot again, and he helped me.
Right.
He said, "Hey, you want a suggestion on this next shot?" And I went, "Sure, Dick. Anything you say."
Right.
And
No, he's
I made the
incredible.
shot.
Him
And he
him
says,
and
"Hey, you want help again on this next shot?" I went, "Sure." And he goes,
So
"Well, try this." And I went, "Oh, that sounds perfect to me." And I did it, and I made it.
That's
And
fantastic.
and then he looked at me and he went, "I'm done helping you." And he went and sat down because I ran 2 more after that. So
That's the end of the
then it
freebie.
was like 8-5.
Right. Well, I mean, the carom influence in pool, I think, is huge, and we've seen players who have a heavy carom background like Efren dominate forever, and people wonder why. But like even to modern day players, Danny Sanchez is the Spanish national champion in caroms, and he's probably one of the top 4 or 5 active three cushion players in the world. He works closely with Alcady and with Francisco Sanchez Ruiz on carom
Sure.
information. And there was I think a highlight that was posted today from the Ohio Open where Francisco played a cross table natural roll carom off the 1, didn't have a pocket.
Yep.
He called the 10, and the cue ball found the line, curved right into where the 10 is, and boom, makes it 10. And
There you go.
but it's like,
Yeah. Well, in 9-ball with kicking for
Oh,
safes,
it's huge.
you can actually hit the right side of the ball if you had some three cushion background.
No, it's bad. The United States players used to have a pretty strong, like in the 40s and 50s, really strong carom culture. Like Chicago was a big carom place.
Oh, yeah.
Different pockets of the United States were really big. And we had a unfortunate player that I never got to watch play, but I've always heard incredible stories about, was Harold Wurst. And he was a world three cushion champion and an all around pocket billiards champion. And like people talk about him like he was the greatest ever, like tortured. Like apparently there was a session where he just tortured Lassiter for the money. And he would just travel around. But he died very young of, I think, like a brain-related cancer of some kind.
Huh.
But even like the month before he died, he traveled to like a bunch of events and snapped off all 4 of them in different disciplines. And he is just an absolute monster. And I did see one clip of him like running a couple carom balls in South America to win the World Three Cushion Championship, like in the late 40s or something like that. But like, we don't have a lot of players that are like that are kind of crossover players that play both games at a high level. Kang Lee is Kang Lee from New York.
Just did real well too in that last tournament he played in.
Yeah, well, I mean, he got to the semifinals, I think, of
against Pedro. Yes,
Pedro Buena. He should have probably beat Pedro, but he kind of gave up a few extra innings that he didn't need to give up, and Pedro took advantage. And he's a champion.
I watched some of that match. That was pretty exciting. He really is good.
Yeah,
Alex Paguline.
Well, I'm not even sure what Alex's carom average is. I know Kang for that event averaged 1.3.
I guess I'm talking more like snooker.
Oh, right.
As far as the carry, different types.
Yeah. No, I mean, Alex is probably the best North American snooker player. Yeah, Kang averaged.
That's why his one pocket game is so good.
Man, and then now he's doing well at the Predator events. So he's knocking heads and beating top pool players. So it's kind of like he's a crossover player. I enjoy caroms a lot. I used to play it more regularly. I don't have a table in my area right now, but I'd like to get one. But I think if players are going to look at how to develop a broader skill set, incorporating three cushion and one cushion and balk line and that kind of stuff, it should be part of your practice if you're serious about kind of developing skills that are going to be valuable to beat top professionals. Kang's proving it on the Predator. He won the match against Darren first round, and then he beat Xia Chen from Taiwan second round.
Great player.
qualified for Final 16. He usually makes Final 16 in those events. So, you know,
There's no question the amount of knowledge about spin and speed
Mhm.
and cue ball control that you gain with three cushion. I had no idea, being a pocket pool player my whole life till 5 years ago, that there was just kind of this unlimited
Right.
amount of world out there with
So like
cue ball control.
Efren was like a national class three cushion
Yes,
player. He'd be
he
like about
was.
like 1-1-2 average three cushion player.
That's
Still
pretty
very,
darn
very
good.
good. Yeah. The top three cushion players now are averaging for tournaments 2.5, 3, sometimes 4.
Exactly.
The averages are way high. It's crazy.
Yeah,
So
the
like,
ones they win, they're way up
right.
there in the average.
if Efren was as dominant as he was in one pocket, if three cushion players ever decided to like not be bored and like want to learn one pocket,
Well, how do you think Efren makes those Z banks?
or just like these 2-rail umbrella shots, you know, where he kicks a ball to his side of the, you know, tickies down table for behind the stack. Everybody's like, oh my God. And it's like, but it's like a standard shot on three cushion that happens.
Standard shot, right?
It's like playing 2-rail position off of a ball, playing 9-ball. We lose our minds when we see it in one pocket because the application is like, oh my God. But for him, it's just a standard shot. And then,
Yeah, there's little systems that these guys, not mathematical systems. They're just like stick systems, where you put your cue stick a certain way and figure stuff out. But there's a shot in one pocket where you go up to the short rail, then hit the long rail, come back down the table and hit the other side of your ball, driving it toward your pocket and leaving the cue ball behind the stack.
Yeah.
That shot I never would have even thought of trying until I played three cushion.
Yeah.
And now I can actually, on a 9-foot table, make that shot and hit it accurately 2 rails.
Yeah. And pool, imagine like, we have kick safeties all the time. We have kicks that come up. Guys struggle with that pattern where they're going direct and then glancing into a cushion. Then they have to find the ball out in space. Pool players are woefully bad at that shot. Like it's comically bad. If you just go through match histories and
when you watched Francisco
on the inside over and over and over again, they don't know how to account for it.
How many 3 cushion kick shots did he save in this tournament?
Well, because
the Open, quite a few.
He's working with Danny. I mean, probably the top 5 3 cushion guys. Like he's not afraid to work on an area of expertise that and he has very fortunate to have Danny in his corner. Danny's a champ. If you watch some of Danny's 3 cushion matches recently, he's playing really amazing carom. So now imagine if you're Francisco, right? You have on the pool side David Alcady, and on the carom side you have Danny Sanchez.
Yeah, how about that?
Pretty strong mentoring.
Pretty strong.
Yeah.
No wonder
he won the U.S. Open.
He's probably in heaven with those two.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great place to be for sure. You're in the all-time. You're dealing with some of the all-time greats and what they do.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say, and I just noticed this the other night, and when we started the podcast, we used to talk to the average player out there and suggest things that they could do to help their game. And we kind of got away from that a little bit, but I just noticed something yesterday on a 14-year-old player who's just starting out to play, just learning how to play the game. And I'm watching him try to stroke. And most people, when they start out playing pool, they elevate the back of their stick for some reason. I don't know why they do that, but they do. They always have the back of that stick elevated. And I was going to say something to him. So I grabbed his arm while he's stroking, and I'm going to take his arm and move it. And I noticed that his muscles in his arm from his elbow down to his fingers were so tight and rigid and stiff that his wrist wouldn't even bend.
Right.
And I went, gee, Ben, how come you're so tense? How come you're so tense? You can't. And I said, do this. I went, do this. Just hold your hand out and shake your wrist. And he was going like he couldn't let his wrist hang and shake it.
Wow.
And then I went, do this,
right,
like that. Don't move your whole arm. Just move this part of your arm. And he couldn't do that. It was like this.
Wow.
And I just want to throw this out there to all the 450s and 500s who want to get better at pool. You can't be tight and play pool in your arm and your wrist. You just can't. So whatever you need to do to be able to do this and shake your wrist and stay loose, get that first. First and foremost,
Yeah.
you have to relax the muscles in your arm. Ask any golfer. How you cannot golf if the muscles in your arms and your legs are tense and taut. And Nate knows this. I golfed with Nate for the first time. He hits the ball like 400 yards with a 6-iron. And he's loose. And
5.
you can tell by his swing. 5. Okay, sorry. 5. But it is something that I don't even think about that, right? As being a factor. But when I saw this young man and I went, well, there's nothing he can do. I can't help him if his muscles in his arm are going to be this tight and this tense.
Mhm.
So I'm going to throw that out there to all you 500 players that want to be better and
Tom Brady has
work on it.
a book talking about muscle plasticity called TB12 method. And
Oh.
He talks about rehabilitation and like stretching and like breaking up the muscle fibers so that they're loose and supple and not rigid and tight. So that might be something that your friend might.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So where do you live, Raymond?
I just moved to the Orlando area. So I'm in Orlando, Florida at the moment.
So you had a little flooding.
No, I didn't
Last
think
week, huh?
not in my area. There's a bunch of pockets of the town that got hit pretty bad, especially the ones near lakes. There's a lot of lakes in Central Florida.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a few areas that, I had an Uber driver who picked me up from the airport when I got back. And he's like, I was looking for his car because the app told me one car, but he showed up in a different car. And he's like, yeah, my car got destroyed by the flooding, so I'm still waiting on the insurance finance.
Okay.
So yeah, some people got hit.
Did
pretty
you
hard.
run into Hunter Lombardo down there at all?
No, he's from the West Palm, South Florida area. So I'm from Miami originally, so I'd seen him around there when I was younger, and then he moved up to New York.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
been in New York for quite a few years now.
For quite a while now. Yeah.
He's got the great Dominic Dunn in his area.
Oh.
Yeah, I do.
Nice.
Yeah. We all want to be like the best player in Florida, so.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Raymond, I think you've been in. Thanks for jumping in, man. You've been awesome.
Oh,
I think,
absolutely. Thanks.
I think maybe we need to have you on a little bit more if you're interested. I think you've been awesome.
Next time I'll be home, I'll have my mic and light set up and everything, and it'll be like an actual production. So, thanks for coming.
Yeah. We'll be able to get to see that beautiful big old beard of yours.
Yeah, I'll have backlighting, and it'll be nice. You'll get
like a nice little like.
Put some Christmas tree lights in it.
I'll do a beard cam, and we'll do like a macro close up on the beard cam. I'm not even kidding. Not even kidding.
Perfect. It's almost Halloween. Did you want to like do some like braids in it? Do like all Scottish? No. You don't want to be a Viking?
No, I'll probably be at the International Open during Halloween. So
I suppose I will be too.
Yeah.
What will I be? I need to fly out probably next. I need to book my flights actually for that.
Flights are expensive. It kind of sucks, but
yeah, I look at them. They're like $650. I'm like, Jesus, I might just end up driving out for that.
Ooh.
Yikes. Well, I'm not a fan of paying $650 for a 2-hour flight. I know that.
No.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Well, we're at almost a 2-hour mark, so we need to get scooting out of here. I think
long.
so. Yeah, that's too long. Nobody wants to listen to us. Although we did have Raymond, so that helps, So, all right. Well,
very good insights. Yeah.
Thanks everybody for joining in. And thanks everybody for watching again. And I guess we'll be back next week.
Thanks for joining us, Raymond. I'm so happy.
Sounds good.
Rob's finally off the golf course.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Well, yep. See you later. See everybody else next week.